There we go. Audacity was being a bad. Oh, fucking following gold gates instead of going to the Dixie like an idiot. Really hate it when I do that. Oh no, I didn't. I'm done. Ugh. Wow. Okay. Managing a couple things at the same time is very confusing. Okay. Yeah, not really sure what happened there with the server. I was getting a pretty weird error message from OBS. Something, I think, server related with Twitch. Not really sure where I cut off there, but yeah, not really much to that fight. I was in a decent ship to deal with that kind of a situation with the Rook, but not with the fitting that I was using. Would that work? One kind of interesting thing about the Rook is that it actually spits out a fair bit of DPS. I'm pretty sure that guy was Hams. Let's see. No, he's using rapid lights. Well, go figure. That is a big reason, though, whenever I look at medium and I see that there's only a frigate there, I'm very suspicious about it, generally. Alright, well, evidently I'm sitting on a couple of arbitrators, so let's go lose these guys. Okay. So this guy is a little bit similar to the Vexor I was flying in. It does about half the potential DPS of the Vexor, but it is still a gank style fitting this time instead of having that whole tank where you actually have a bit more tank to it running around with the XLASB. Triple DDAs. I think we have an omnidirectional tracking thing for the drones. I like this ship just because it's one of those ships again that one is not really seen ever. Typically, if a gang's going to be using tracking disruptors, they will relegate to using a crucifier, which I believe gets a range bonus to tracking disruptors. Arbitrator does not. And two, even if it is seen in space, many players would think that it's going to be in a more E-War configuration, even an armor tanking configuration, so I think it's kind of cool. Kind of cool to run around in this style of fitting. Kind of similar to running around that Vexor. The biggest problem with running around with a cruiser like this is just the general metagame. The ship will suffer against frigate gangs. It can deal with like smaller groups of frigates. Larger groups of frigates are just going to really overwhelm it. But between newts and a web, it can deal with a number of frigates, just not a lot. Oh, you got the groove shot working, Nick? Awesome. So the web trick. Web trick is there's two things going on with the web trick. So let's talk about that one a little bit. And I'm glad that you looked at the highlight that really shows what ship behavior looks like when the web trick works. So anyway, the web trick relies on an opponent using an orbit function on you, not manual piloting. So let's say you have like a frigate with an afterburner and he clicks orbit 500 onto your ship, or he does the radial and does an orbit 500 on your ship. So let's say you're in a cruiser like a Thorax and you can't track him because he's orbiting you, he has really small sig, your guns are designed to shoot at frigates, you're in a bad situation. What you can do is use something called a web trick, and this kind of abuses the autopilot orbit function in two ways. So there's two things going on with the orbit, and I can actually display that on this gate. So your orbit path around any given object is random. So which direction my ship actually points and starts going in an orbit direction is random, but there is a little bit of logic to it. It depends on your ship's speed. So right now I'm going about 250 maximum meters per second. What happens if I say turn on my propulsion module? Let's see, what direction is my ship going to take? Suddenly my orbit path just changed. What the hell's up with that? And what if I say cut my speed to about 800 ms? It just changed again. Now I'm going kind of up and around the gate. So you can abuse this. You can actually abuse this behavior with a webifier. The way that you do that is you place a webifier onto an opponent ship, and then you turn it off. And what may happen, depending on the behavior for the ship, the behavior for the orbit path, is that, say a ship, this is your ship, and this is the orbiting frigate or the orbiting smaller ship that you can't track. So you place that web onto them. Once you place that web onto them, their ship may decide to go in a different direction, even the opposite direction, or a slightly different direction, and they'll slow down as that as the orbit function tries to account for the change in direction. Then you turn off the web, and then suddenly the same thing will happen. Now, with the orbit trick, essentially what you're doing is you're turning the web on, you're immediately setting it to turn off, and then you're activating it about a second later. So the kind of behavior that you're ideally going to get is a ship doing this instead of actually following an orbit path and just slowing up and speeding down. So, I mean, the ideal behavior for that frigate is that once he gets webbed, he just slows down but continues on his path and doesn't lose any speed, and still will have enough transversal velocity to speed tank your guns. And then once your web drops, it will just speed up. But the reality of how the autopilot works is that it actually may change directions. And if you just turn the web on and off, you can actually have a ship just jittering. The other aspect, the second aspect to the web trick, is when you have a web apply onto a target, and you have that change in direction, you may also get this behavior where your ship will not be at the right distance to the target ship, and then the ship may go back and forth trying to get into that proper orbit path. So if you ever were to look at how your ship behaves when you set orbit, let's say you're 50 kilometers away from an opponent ship and you set orbit 500. Your ship is initially going to do a keep at range function. It's going to fly all the way to the ship, get to 500 meters, and then it's going to try to do the orbit. So very similar to a keep at range function, what's probably going to happen if you had a propulsion module on, like a micro warp drive, you're going to get to 500. Your ship's then going to try to orbit, but you're going to blow past the target due to momentum, and then it's going to rubber band until you're finally into an orbit around the ship. The same thing can happen when you're using the web trick. That increase in speed and drop of speed can cause that ship that's trying to orbit to actually not be at the proper range adjacent to your ship and cause it to jitter going up and down. So these two things about the orbit path that can change in complete opposite directions, as well as the orbit distance changing, and can cause this kind of jittering motion where the target ship just stays essentially within one spot, and a bigger ship, such as a cruiser shooting at a frigate, can suddenly get tracking due to abuse of this autopilot behavior. The counter to this on the frigate's end, or the smaller ship's end, is manual piloting. So if a pilot were to recognize that he's being web tricked, he can just set a manual orbit path, and he won't have really anything to worry about. If you want to see what this looks like in practice, you can go into my highlights, and I think the most recent highlight is the web trick. I use it in a Brutix with a single webifier against a 10MN AB confessor, and I kill it fairly quickly. It's not always going to work. Sometimes when you apply a webifier to a target, the orbit path at 60% of the normal velocity will be in the same direction. But usually it's going to cause some shift in direction, and it can allow you to get tracking onto a target. A word of caution: this is not going to enable a battleship to track a being frigate around your battleship. Even with double webs, it would probably not work. That's my experience with the web trick. This is more of a trick that allows a ship class above to shoot a ship class below. So a cruiser to shoot a frigate, or a battleship to shoot a cruiser, sort of thing. Holy Eighth, I have an E-Vegas ticket. It's purchased. I will be at E-Vegas 2015. Oh, Wash. That actually depends on your opponent's ship behavior. You can definitely hit ship things adjacent to you, but it can be tricky for sure. I'm assuming double webs are used because of decreased stacks. Sorry if that's a dumb question. I'm new. What do you mean by stacks? What is stacks? I don't know what stacks is. The only stack I think of in Eve terms is a stacking penalty, and that doesn't seem to work in how you phrased your question. SAR to wide hybrids due to better tracking over lasers or just personal preference? On this ship, it's just higher damage output and good tracking. Pretty much the damage is what it comes down to. Okay, so 2 webs cause more speed loss. Yes, okay, so again, when I'm repeating the question, I'm assuming the double webs are used because of the decreased stacks. It's really odd phrasing. But yes, 2 webs are generally better than 1, yes. There is like kind of a maximum amount of webification you can have onto an opponent's ship. Essentially, once you get to about 5 webs onto a ship, there's absolutely no reason to be using additional webs. Even like the 4th web doesn't have much effect onto an opponent's ship. So the way the stacking penalties work is that the first mod is 100%, second mod is A7, third mod I believe is around 54, fourth is around 20%, I think it's around 17, something like that. Fifth is even like something around 10% or less of the module's stated effect, if you were to show info on it. So usually once you have about 3 of something, 3 is probably the maximum you'd ever want to use of a webifier, what have you. After that point, especially if you're looking at applying damage onto a target, slowing it down, if you're, I say, looking at just getting better quality hits or applying better onto a target, that's kind of at the point where you'd want to be using at the other part of the damage application formula. Instead of tracking, you'd want to be looking at signature radius and applying target painters onto a ship. Yes. So the maximum effectiveness you can get on to non-Serpentis ships is 60% for webifiers. I don't think commander webs go any further past 60%. A Serpentis ship with its bonus to webification effectiveness, a single Serpentis webifier is better than a number of webifiers due to that stacking penalty. You can get close, but it's not quite 90%. Oh, there's the Jag. Okay. No, Don't be sorry for asking questions, H2 bro. I just either need you to rephrase it or someone to phrase it in a way that I understood. It's fine. Don't feel sorry about that sort of thing. Definitely encourage people to ask questions in this stream. Yes, Gunvoid. Yeah. The first time I went through here, I did not see anything doing anything in the system, so I'm just going to move straight on through. No, Vice, you're completely wrong. They definitely have stacking penalty. Webs definitely have a stacking penalty. Yeah, they do. There's a pretty cool video that Garmin put out a while ago. I think it was one of his last PvP videos where he's running around in a 10 mm or 100 mm AB symbol, and he had like, I don't know, 10 webs on him, and he was still going like 300 ms. It's because it's stacking penalties. Oh, I don't want to go to Hysera, no. Hey, Astro, how's it going, man? The BS roam was pretty good. Squeeble's birthday roam was a lot of fun. We had the specter of Dead Terrorists kind of hanging over the fleet the entire time. They eventually got a good number of our fleet. It's kind of to be expected. But I think after that, we went in through a wormhole over to Blackrise and got into some odd three-way. I have no idea how that went, but I think everyone was pretty happy with the result. I got a fair number of kills. It was silly. It was fun. That's exactly the reason why you'd use one over the other Cortex. It's because you have a mid slot or low slot. So all my mid slots are devoted to tackle and tank, whereas low slots I actually have one free. So that's why I'm using the low slot omnidirectional module. So if I was not running around alone, and I was in a fleet, and I wanted to do better application or have better range with my drones, let's say I was in a Vexor Navy issue or in a Ishtar doing fleet work, I likely would have omnidirectional tracking links, the mid-slot modules. They have a lot more effect. And when you're in a large fleet, it doesn't adversely affect your fleet, especially if you have dedicated tackle or logistics to shore up your tank. Yeah, kind of like what Vice is mentioning. That mid slot is a very important module for solo, micro gang, small gang PvP. When you're in smaller engagements, smaller scaled engagements, it's much more important to have your own tackle modules. Every ship pretty much needs to have or should have a tackle module. So, given that my arbitrator is running around alone, I have lots of tackle modules, a propulsion module, and a tanking module that, for my fitting, I feel that is necessary. Yeah, the mid slot is much greater. One, because it's in a very valuable slot area, and two, because it's an active module. Active modules tend to be have a lot more effectiveness than passive modules. Does an ODL cut it for small, medium drones? It looks like they don't cut it at all, but what do I know? What's an ODL? Omnidirectional. Is that the low slot I'm using? I don't omnidirectional. I don't know what ODL is. I've never seen that acronym before. It's a frustrating looking fleet. Yeah, it's something I can deal with. Oh, the tracking link? It's more effective to have a web, but that's only if the web is in range to be applied onto a target. That's not always going to be the case. Do I have like on safer or something? Something stupid like that? I don't know when that happens. I think omnidirectional is one word. Wedge. So usually when you're making a acronym, it'd be OTE or something like that. But yeah, it's only recently that the low slot module came into existence. So usually when someone says omnis, people think the mid slot, the tracking link. Omnidirectional, or sorry, drone damage amps are, I believe, the only item in the game that can increase your drone damage. That's correct. Currently, there's no implants or anything that increase your drone damage. These guys could actually do some serious damage to me. I don't think they're actually going to engage me. I'm gonna try to bump this Thrasher off the gate. See if I can get that. Gate camp's over, boys. Gig is up. These are small blasters. Oh, that's very true, Vice. There is a rig that increases your sentry damage. I forgot all about that one. Huzi, that guy was a legal target. So, he was an outlaw. So his security status was less than -5, which meant that I can engage him without taking sentry aggression and low sec. They've updated the Crime Watch system, which is what determines whether or not you get shot at by Concord or NPCs, that sort of stuff. They've introduced another combat state that allows you to get shot at without, say, sentry turret repercussion, called Suspect, which is kind of similar to GCC in the past. And you can get that from doing a whole bunch of stuff. Some more things that could be, you can get that state than in the past that would make you a legal target. Pretty much in the past, either you were an outlaw or you got GCC, which meant you would get killed by Concord, and that's no longer the case. Oh, ouch. And looks like there's RC bows. I'm dead here. There's not a lot I can do. Because there's going to probably be a scrambler applied on me. Yeah, I'm just dead. I'm not going to coast that far into range. I'm just going to drop my tank. Who are these guys by chance? A lot of randoms. What is up with people right now and not shooting pods? This is actually very frustrating to me. This is very frustrating to me. So I don't know if Kodama has a... I don't think it has stations. Whatever. Yeah, I occasionally do that Gunvoid and invite people to duels. I mean, they would have got, I was not a legal target, so they would have taken GCC. They would have taken a criminal timer to shoot my pod. And I would have got a whole bunch of, kill rights on them, so, I mean, I kind of understand why they didn't shoot it, but if you're gonna be gate camping, for God's sake, just kill pods. So just a bunch of NPC corps. This is like the most dangerous style of gang to run into, because you just don't see it in local. All you see is a big wall of suspect, and it's really hard to anticipate. I usually don't rename my ships, Nick. I don't really care. I really don't care. That's an aspect of metagaming that doesn't really bother me at all. Well, I have a second arbitrator that I want to lose Kimichi, so you're probably gonna see that in a moment. Once I self-destruct here. Those multiple NPC Corp dudes, so it wasn't just one NPC Corp. Yeah, that damn carries was a nail in coffin. Okay. Andorrath, it's not as bad as you'd think. It's really not bad at all. You don't run into it all that often. Where you do run into it, it tends to be only a couple of systems. There's only a few organizations that really have the patience to do that. And on top of that, they get predated. They get attacked quite often, because a static group of people that are giving themselves suspect timbers, that sort of thing, are prime targets for attack, whether that be like a Blops drop, baiting and then throwing a larger gang at it, a Titan bridge. It's kind of a dangerous thing to do. Another thing worth mentioning is that if you're in a frigate or a destroyer, for the most part, you're okay going through gate camps. Either you can burn back to gate, or you can just warp straight through it. It's kind of when you get into cruisers that you start having issues. Yeah, yeah, I understand that, Andrew. I mean, if anything, it's just a lesson to you that it may be a good idea to look at the area space you live in. For example, there's a lot of map statistics for you to look at to determine whether or not an area is dangerous to go into. So you can look at ships destroyed in the last hour, and then you can look at, say, a Dotlan or Eve kill and search for that system and see what kind of PvP is going on in that system. If you don't have a friend that can just scout it for you, you can then just look at statistics and say, okay, there's been people camping the system for the past 2 hours, and they have a bunch of stuff that looks like it's insta-locking. Like they're using Gnosis, or they're using a whole bunch of ships that, like Devoters, Hicks, that sort of thing, that it looks like there's a gate camp, or there really shouldn't be PvP going on in that system. Typically on entry systems from high sec to low sec, if it's not factional warfare space, it's a gate camp that's going on. That's the only reason why there tends to be any amount of PvP going on in those types of systems. HiSec to Autoluf isn't necessarily a better system to go through, but of like the Atlar, Autoluf, or Bocina, it's probably the best one. It's probably the safest. I guess I can give you that. Not by much though, but it is. I would say that. But honestly, if you want to be sure about that sort of thing, one, you can look at statistics. Two, you can scout it yourself with a fast-moving ship. Three, you just get a friend to scout it for you. There's a number of options at your disposal. It's kind of funny that people talking about Molten Heath in this chat. I would say that Molten Heath in general is such a quiet region. It's surprising that that's the region that we choose to talk about for gate camps. Like, oh, avoid these systems, go through that one. I think most players in this game are never going to go through Molten Heath. How long have I been playing Eve? I've been playing since 06, I think. Yeah, mid 06. Almost 10 years. Is Uber back to playing Zen? I thought he's on hiatus. Honestly, the best and coolest thing about Molten Heath, I'd say that's been happening to it in recent days, is Bad Intentions. They seem to be a rather active organization that will undock, not necessarily the numbers you want, but they will undock and start chase you off and try to shoot you, which is pretty cool. Rotschutz, I would say Lowsec isn't necessarily the answer. In fact, I would say with the upcoming SOB changes, I'd say Nullsec is the answer if you're looking for kind of smaller scale PvP. And you're not necessarily even going to get smaller scale PvP with the new SOB changes. I would definitely look at Nullsec. I'm looking at Nullsec for the SOB changes. I think that's going to be the place to go to get some pretty cool fights. Yeah, as far as I know, Vice, Uber's been taking a break from the game. Yeah, Dennis Denise, there's this, even from when I started playing the game, this game has changed so much. But I would say for as far as EVE Online goes, the past 6 months has been some of the best changes, the best like kind of user experience changes to the game. It's a pretty good time to start looking at the game. If like you've tried the game in the past and you really didn't like it, they've really been polishing the game into a state that is much more understandable, much more approachable, a state that makes sense. It's just a lot of really good changes coming in. So hey, I have a question for you guys. I understand they updated the beta map, and I haven't really been using it. I probably should start considering to use it, but so what's going on with the beta map these days? Is Abstract still? Okay. So what? I understand there's like a probing. You can look at probes in here now or something? What's going on with the beta map? Anyone tell me? Still not usable. You can system scan directly on it with probes. I see you have a few bookmarks. I do now, yes. I had I can't remember who did it, but I had a duder in the Fact War Zones give me a bunch of bookmarks, a bunch of pings and stuff, which is very useful. Very, very much thank you to the individual that did that. Actually, who was that? I don't know. Yeah, my biggest issue with the beta map is navigating it. Well, it's not just navigating it, but it's reading statistics is my biggest issue. On top of that, navigating it can be very frustrating. So I have it set to average pilots in space in the last 30 minutes. I have no idea. I can't read this map. So, okay, this is the average pilots in space. With how they have the stars shown, the solar the system shown, you look at this and then you compare that to the normal map, and the contrasting colors is much more readable. The how the brightness shown, how the systems are shown, it's much more legible. The old map right now is just in such a better state for readability, and also I don't want it to be a 3D map. And the beta map as it stands right now, you can put it into an abstract view, which I have. However, when you left click or right click across the map to move it, if you left click, it moves it like this, which does nothing for me. I hate that when I put it in 2D view, I can still move it across the plane. I think that's very silly. And the only way to move it and pan is use your right mouse button. I mean, I would get used to that, but I don't understand if I'm in 2D view why that would be an option. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of good stuff going on with the beta map. they just need to get over. CCP needs to address kind of the shininess of it. Yes, it looks good, it looks new, it looks cool, but the brightness as a way to convey information is not good. It needs to just be like solid colors, kind of like what you see in your normal map. Because I can read large and small circles. It's very legible. The contrasting colors is much more readable versus the same color. Yes, Andrew, I want to see it from underneath. Yep. Beta is beta. Yep, I agree. You need to set up the beta map to get anything useful out of it? What do you mean by set up? What does that mean? What does that entail? I mean, I definitely have, you have to go through in settings and configure your normal map. Although for me, that all that really meant is making it 2D. Yeah, Rambo, I agree. It's kind of just something to get used to is just using the right mouse button. I get that, I understand that. It just, if you go into 2D mode, I don't understand why the left mouse would ever rotate the camera. The only time I can see that is if you're zoomed in on a system and you want to look at like the orientation of a system. So if I go into the beta map and I zoom in on a system, not quite. Okay, so I go over to RZAD. I might want to look around and see if there's like a gate above or below the plane sort of deal. I can see that, but I feel like this should only be a function when I'm zoomed in on a system, not for when I'm in the greater map. I feel the greater map should just be 2D, where you can't do that, because it doesn't make much sense. So a little bit of gate camping going on here. Hopefully it's not on the Auga gate. If it is, I'm just going to try to warp off that gate first. Yeah. But if you're scanning stuff down in Ishua, you're going to be in like a system view anyway, right? Why am I not warping? I thought I hit the warp. You should be in a system view anyway, though, right? You wouldn't be in that map view. You wouldn't be showing the constellation or the region or the entire galaxy, right? Is there really a need for that when you're in that abstract view, that 2D view, to have that rotation ability? I don't see it. Okay, nothing out. Okay, good. Well, there's discussion in the UI, not roundtable, but announcements, the UI panel, that they're going to be pretty much porting over the solar system view as you see it in the current map, in the old map, into the new map. So you're essentially going to have that system in the new map. Because it's already been updated. It's a pretty good working system. As I understand, they're just going to use that. I'm in Alga. Why am I looking for fights in Alga? This is like the worst place to look for fights. Should be going over to Quorum. Speaking of maps, I should be looking at the map. Hey, statistics. That artifact right there, it's nice. Oh, it doesn't, McShee? Okay. Yeah, I'm not about to start trying to use it for probing. One, I'm terrible at probing. Two, uh, I don't think it's a. I think there's much better individuals that have tried out that sort of stuff. Um, so Johnny Pugh, the guy that does YouTube stuff. It's Johnny something something. Johnny, I believe it's Johnny Pugh. He does a lot more of that kind of exploration focused stuff on his YouTube channel. He'd have a much better idea whether or not that sort of thing would be, usable state and what's good and what's bad and what CCP should work on. Johnny Pugh, yeah, okay. Glad I got the name right. Stratios, ooh. That's a fight I don't think I can win. It's one unfortunate thing about this style of arbitrator fitting is that it doesn't really bring anything to the table that can effectively deal with faction cruisers. There's not many faction cruisers I can really combat in this arbitrator. It's mostly T1 cruisers that I'm looking for. Very, very few Tech 2 cruisers for that matter as well. Oh, thank you, Nick, for linking that. Yeah, Johnny's a cool guy. He puts out a lot of really good content for people that enjoy that style of gameplay, the exploration stuff. Hold on a sec, guys. No TDs, no Snake Breath. This is a solo fit. It's shield gank, triple drone damage amps, and omnidirectional tracking enhancer. It does about 450 DPS, drones only, I believe, with it if I was using thermal drones. And to answer QVR, it's kind of like an underpowered Vexor, but it has more drones in the drone bay it can throw around. Not by much. Honestly, probably the biggest thing that I have going for me is that people won't really expect what I'm doing, which isn't much. But it is a change of pace, which is kind of neat. Does it get a mining drone bonus? Does it really? How about that? That's funny. Yeah, it's an E-War cruiser, but it actually can do some pretty good work as a combat cruiser. So it's kind of an oddity. Oh, does the Vexor? Oh. Something I never really think about. For some reason, I figured they'd remove that from the Vexor. I don't know why I thought that, but... the Curse definitely is a great ship on paper, Carl, but it tends to be a coffin for most dudes. Expect to lose a fair number of them. Like if you've flown the Sentinel and you've enjoyed the Sentinel, the Curse it's much slower in comparison to other cruisers. If you were to say look at the speed of a Sentinel, look at the speed of versus other frigates, it doesn't have the newt range that the Sentinel enjoys. I mean, the Sentinel has pretty crazy newt range when you compare it to a Curse. Like if a Curse is to have like a Sentinel's kind of bonus towards newt range, it would be newting out to 40-50 km. And then you pretty much have a hard time putting an even more than a basic tank onto it. It tends to get a ship that gets primaried and killed. But if you are a very good pilot and you understand the limitations of the Curse and understand how much cap every ship has in the game and manage your ranges and your E-war, your neutralizer warfare, in the hands of an expert, the Curse is a scalpel, but it's very easy to get blown up. I guess what I could say is, even though you have 30k medium newts, Vice, is that a lot of ships these days project easily that far, and the Curse doesn't have much HP to tank damage. So you actually have to be fairly close to other ships to be using your neutralizers. If I remember correctly, with T2 or unstable newts, you get about 32 km range with medium newts. That might be a little bit short, though. I'm not 100% on that. I don't think it's past that, though. Just looking that up really quick. Where is Recon's Curse? Oh, it's 38. Wow, I'm way off. Yeah, it's 38 km. So 38 km range with medium newts is pretty good. That's actually very good. That's very acceptable. But regardless, it's very easy to get a couple cruisers on you and get killed. When you overheat your modules and they to the maximum and they go offline, they're not destroyed. You have to go into a station and get them repaired. There are two options for repair. One is going to a station repairing, and the second is using nanite repair paste, which you can do in flight. So when you burn out a module completely, you can no longer repair a module in flight. You have to dock up at a station and get it repaired. Oh yes, the heavy newt Curse is pretty dang cool. Yeah, that's definitely a cool variant on the Curse. I don't really agree with that, Vice. I don't agree with that at all. It can be hard for like only a couple of ships, but for fleet engagements, if you have a one skirmish gang fighting another skirmish gang, I feel that a Curse is fairly slow. And it's a very easy target to kill. It doesn't have much HP to it. It doesn't have like a signature radius bonus for its MWD. Unless like one skirmish gang doesn't have much projection, a Curse is just a really good target. But if you're only looking at like 5v5 or something, yeah, I think the Curse is definitely a lot more viable. I guess what it really comes down to, and this is kind of like what I was saying before, if you're just starting off flying a Curse, you're probably going to lose it a fair number of times until you kind of learn the speeds and learn the ranges and learn how to manage your range in relation to other ships and see whether or not you have a tackle frigate or some ship that can project well charging at you. Until you learn that type of stuff, you're going to have a very hard time. It's not a very forgiving ship. I find that the Sentinel is a much more forgiving ship for that style of PvP, and it can be a good learning ship to go into a Curse. The Curse is definitely more powerful, but it's also you pay a price of vulnerability. It's much easier to kill than, say, a Sentinel. I'd much rather use a carries or Hanya instead of a Sentinel when you're going up against larger gangs. Oh yeah, I understand that. Yeah, Sentinel's pretty good against tackle. Like if you have fast tackle trying to go after dudes. Ooh, let's get off this gate. That can be a really good option. You can newt off scepters and stuff with like only like a volley of your newts. I guess we had the same idea there. Get the hell off gates. I might actually be warping into this gang. Oh, that tracking camera being so slow. Nope, I'm good. So an Amamok with 15 local, whole bunch of suspects. That's not normal. Looks like they had a fight. Oh my. Well, I guess we overheat burn back. Round 2 of getting blapped on a gate. Oh, it's gonna be close. Damage control, help me! Okay, we made it. Woo! That was scary. We might not be out of it yet either. No, yes. All right, made it out. Ooh, that was close. A scrambler and a sentinel. I think that's really weird. I think most people use long points on the sentinel. Scrambler is really weird. I don't understand that. Nos tends to be more of a gang sort of thing, and if you're using Nos on a sentinel, you don't really need the cap booster. Let's see here, Aggress. So the way that I usually see the sentinel flown is with 3 small newts, a long point, and just TD, damage control, Ansel rep, and either an adaptive plate like you have on there, or a drone damage amp. I think an Ansel current router is necessary, yep. And you either see the Egress port maximizer, a cap control circuit, or a semiconductor. I think Finn likes to have a semiconductor rig on there. I believe that's his preference. The guy that I really talk to about Sentinels is Finn Taru, but if he's flying around in a small gang or solo, that sort of thing, he's probably going to be flying around with triple newt if you're going to be going with the cap booster. There's kind of some weird stuff going around that Sentinel fit that you linked in the chat there. Vice for bigger fleet stuff, yeah. I would say that the style of E-War that a carries or a Hanny brings to a gang is definitely more worthwhile. I mean, 2 TDs, 2 bonus TDs against, 20, 30, 50, whatever number of ships that you're going against isn't something that gangs tend to really ooh and ah over. I agree. I'd say the Sentinel's more of a solo micro gang ship, whereas the carries and Hyena can work in those situations. Like the Sentinel's more of like a ship that can hold its own. It can actually deal with stuff on its own. Yeah, it provides a little bit of damage output. Neutralizers are pretty powerful in a micro gang setting. The carries can work in a micro gang setting, but it doesn't really. It can't turn off tanks. The Hyena only really has webs that it provides to any sort of gang. So if you really want webs, Hyena's great. Beyond that, webs and paints, sorry. Beyond that, it doesn't really provide much to a gang. Whereas in a micro gang setting, a TD is incredibly powerful. Newts are incredibly powerful. And it's a fairly survivable ship. Those small newts hit pretty hard, Vice. It will shut down a Logi, a single Logi. It will shut down cruisers. It takes a little bit of time, but it will happen. It really is a matter of opinion. It's more of a how you feel about it sort of thing. I do agree though, for larger gang stuff, the carries Hyena would be more useful. I mean, honestly, the hardest thing about the Sentinel is that it's a TD boat. So if you go up against, say, an Orthrus or a Cerberus or a Caracol or whatever, your primary means of surviving and turning off a ship is worthless. And those style of ships, as well as, say, Gilas, Worms, that sort of thing, the Sentinel doesn't really have much effect against them. It doesn't really do anything against them. The only thing you do is newt them, but their primary means of damaging other ships is going to remain active. I would say that's the biggest mark against a Sentinel these days. Why do I have Yingvar? Oh, he's just watchless. Okay. Yeah, if you have electronic attack frigates to 5, I think Sentinel's a really fun ship to fly around with, especially solo. It's a very fun ship. If you're looking for fittings, I would go through Fintaro's loss board. His killboard, look through his losses, and pretty much scoop that fit right off of Fintaro's dead body. It's a very good source for kill mill or for fits for the Sentinel. Oh yeah, Sentinel is definitely. Oh my fucking god! Speaking of steeples, they're off gate. Let's try to warp off here. Oh, they're warping! Yay! Where are these guys? Am I going to their gate? No, they're going to somewhere else. Okay. It is not a good day to be flying around in cruisers. Thanks, CCP, T3 destroyers, ruining game, blah 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 blah. Okay, how about this one, guys? As a way to balance T3 destroyers, let's give them a warp speed of 1 AU per second. Let's do that. Perfectionist Lunatic, head over to if you scroll down and look at the YouTube link, that's where past broadcasts are going. Problem with past broadcasts on Twitch is that I've been listening to music recently, which means that the majority of the broadcast is going to get muted. Now, about half the broadcasts on YouTube right now are muted. However, I have a new audio recording system which allows me to do past broadcasts, save them locally to my hard drive, and then I'm recording audio separately without the music. So future past broadcasts on YouTube for the last couple days and then into the future will not have music, and they will not have copyright issues. However, if I were to stream live, it's either I have music or I don't have music. So because I want to stream with music, I'm not going to be doing my past broadcasts through Twitch TV. I'll be honest with you guys, I'm pretty over T3s in general. Unless there's like some heavy changes to how T3s work, kind of in relation to what you see with destroyers, I don't really like the cruisers. I think the destroyers right now are just too powerful for me to really enjoy. I think there needs to be a bit of heavy rebalancing before I'm going to be flying those anytime regularly. Yeah, it's just not a good time to be running around in a cruiser. So the only fights I'm going to get are very one-sided gankings on gates. Yeah, 6 mids. It's going to be pretty interesting, Vice. Not really sure how to feel about that. How many lows did it have? Like 1, 2, 1? Probably 1. The joke dog. Yeah. Yeah, 6 mids is kind of excessive. Yeah. For a nano ship, you tend to want to have more than, say, 1 low slot. 2 lows? Oh, 2 lows is actually pretty... That's not bad. So it's 762 is the slot layout? What? It's 762? What is the... Oh, no, that makes sense. 762. Yeah, that makes sense. I forgot how many slots those things have. It's kind of ridiculous. They have 7, and then, like, this people has 4 and 4. They have 8 slots between their mids and lows. It's pretty freaking amazing. So this is kind of similar to when I saw that Merlin at a medium. When I see lone frigates in outposts, I'm immediately thinking that this person has a recon with them. Because as I understand, a frigate like that can't do an outpost like this unless it's doing it defensively. And most frigates, if they're doing it defensively, are fitted with stabs, and they're not combat fit. So it's not all that interesting to me. Another frustrating thing about this arbitrator I'm in is, say, if I want to go up against like a PvEing Ishtar, if he's in one of these mission sites, I can't deal with an Ishtar. I straight up cannot deal with an Ishtar. I think the way you disengage Vice is you kill people around you. God forbid people using MWDs. Yeah. Oh no! It's not a 10 MAB. It's shit, it's shit, it's shit. Oh man, I really don't want to see other things get buffs, Astro. I'd rather see nerfs happen. There's been enough of I hate throwing around this term, but it is what's happening. You see power creep happening. Things are just getting buffs, 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 buffs. It's not bad to nerf things as well. But seeing nerfs kind of in the direction that, say, the H-Star got, just slight nerfs, slight nerfs, slight nerfs, is definitely healthy. I just wish it happened faster, and it would be more, and CCP balance team would be more reactive to things as they happened. Instead of waiting a couple months, just wait a month or two. I understand the desire to wait, and oh, that's a lot of, what is going on in this system? God, fuck VAC War today. To hell with it. Why am I over here? What am I doing with my life? I know my problem is I'm in a cruiser, but it's frustrating. All these things I can't deal with. I understand from CCP's perspective, they want to get statistics, they want to get data, they want to say, this is a reason why it's overpowered from usage statistics, and this is what we're going to do to address that. So they combine player feedback with usage statistics, and they come up with a solid reason that they can point at and say, this is why. I wish they were more aggressive. Because to me, what it really comes down to is any sort of statistics that you're going to be throwing out, any sort of data that you're going to be throwing out is open to interpretation. You know. Dual MWD cruise missile Kestrel. That was before my time. That's really surprising to me, Astro, that you say you've only seen nerfs. Because I mean, you're playing in a time where Tyricide's happening, and virtually every ship is getting buffs, 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 buffs. This guy MWD fit? He's just not in prop mode, is he? This is one thing I find very frustrating about Arbitrator, though. I'm wondering if this Confessor doesn't want to fight me because he's going to think TDs and newts. I wonder if that's why. Even though the Arbitrator doesn't have a bonus towards newts, most people see it as like a T1 curse. Yeah, he doesn't want none of it. That's frustrating to me. I think that would have been an interesting fight. Andro, I would think that you're doing the wrong sites or something like that. I've heard a lot of people making loads of money doing null-sec sites. Or people that have actually done them can say whether or not to do them. Is this guy warping off again? I want to fight you, dude. Here, I'm gonna put out explosive drones and make you feel good about yourself. Fuck off. It really frustrates me when I'm cycling for overheat on my scram. It just does not fucking happen. Really frustrates me. That's like the second or third time my tackle where I cycle for overheat and it just does not happen. It does not cycle up. I don't know if that guy was in scram range, but I'm gonna say he was. Grrr. Yeah, good fight. Another thing I wasn't really sure about there is whether or not infiltrators were the right choice. I think they were. I'm shooting a destroyer, even though if it was in defensive mode, I don't know. Okay, I'm not suspect. Not too worried about these frigates. And they're not following, okay. Damage, QVR, raw damage. And tracking. No, they're not following. I was kinda hoping they're gonna follow after me. I'm gonna jump into those guys. I mean more small drones versus medium drones, Vice. Not the damage type. I guess they weren't interested in actually shooting me? Yeah, and I can't take a suspect for these guys. What I might try to do here, because this is like my best chance for a fight that I've seen around here. I'm just going to warp over to a complex and see what I can kill out of this group. I don't think I'm going to win at all, but I might be able to get some kills before I die. Andrew, you'd be surprised how many duders and frigates don't really think about. They don't understand Crime Watch. You'd be very surprised. It happens more often than you think that frigates would chase you, or not chase you, but shoot you and take sentries. Like when I see a bunch of T1 frigates, then they fucking jump. When I see a bunch of frigates locking me up on a gate, I usually give them like a minute to shoot me. Oh, look for kill rights. That's actually a very good point. I never really think about that. I'm assuming they've warped off. Yeah. Where would you go? Where would you go? This is honestly a pretty nasty gang. Okay, so they did not go over there. Did they go over to a site? Yeah, they're over at the medium. How about that? I think the medium. Nope, not the medium. It's the one adjacent to the medium, the large. Let's hope they stick around. I think they may have left. Yep, they left already. Oh, no they didn't. Okay, sweet. Or, were they actually at the medium? That's a bunch of bullshit. I think they may have moved. Yeah, I think they moved. I'm fairly certain they moved here. So I don't think I fucked up that 5-degree scan at all. You done repairing them? You done repairings? Come on, guys! Watch your fucking close scanner! Come on, man! Man, come on, man! Impatient shits? It tells me I need to be aggressive against these guys. Is that them jumping out? They're jumping, okay. No, they're not jumping. Thought one of them jumped. No, they're jumping, okay. I think I'm gonna have to take a suspect here if I'm gonna get a fight with them, and that's really not something I want to be doing. I don't want them to be all on top of me, sort of deal. Okay, where are they going? Is this guy even with the group? Yeah, we're in a gank arbitrator. All on the inside. Oh, goodness. This is very frustrating to me. Very, very, very frustrating. Okay, let's go to the large. I think they've been going to plexes and just random, kind of at random. So hopefully by me doing this, they'll just go into the next plex, and they'll actually see me in a place where they can shoot me. They'll burn after me. I'll get a fight. I'll be happy. Everyone will be happy. I'll be happy, which is the most important thing. I'm seeing pods come up. I think these guys are going to get their fight in that small, unfortunately. Oh. That's fairly well cleared out. I'm gonna go into that. We're just gonna dive into that. I don't think I'm gonna get much done. Catalyst is a good primary. Sentinel, if he's close by, is a good primary. That'll pretty much make us ISK positive or ISK even. Hopefully they stick around while they're looting. I'm assuming they're gonna just be looting right now. Fuck these fucking guys. Sentinel's gonna be gone in seconds. He's not gonna be sticking around. Here we go. Blood of Gods would be probably a pretty good fight. I'm assuming that Blood of Gods is going to be linked out to shit, so it's going to be very important that I have my newts on him the entire fight. Otherwise, we're gonna have a big problem killing him. That's if he even goes in. Here we go. Why it? Come on, tackle! Fuck off! What is going on with that tackle? Did I just not have it primed or something? I thought I had it primed. Oh, fuck you. Blah. Back to looting. And he warps off. Oh, get out of here. What is up with T3 destroyers and not wanting to fight me? Alright, well, I guess this is just looting and cargo hauling with Sardcade Hour. Yay. Slowpoke, I think what happened is server tick decided that my stuff should not activate for a full second. I'm pretty sure that's what happened, but I don't know. Yes, Janitor Hour was Arcade. Yeah. Yeah, Vice, I suppose. I mean, I understand the sentiment. But the way I see it with the T3 Destroyer is that until you see said newts and stuff, you can always disengage, you can always run away. I mean, if you're gonna dive in the first place, why not just go for it? I never showed him newts, I never showed him tackle, for that matter. Why dive in the first place? Hey, that tree though, how's it going, man? Oh, hey, that gang's in here. How about that? Oh, I'm suspect for them now, so maybe they'd want to fight me now. Let's drop off all this loot, this several million of loot I've picked up, and then go for that gang now. Looks like they're relatively intact, so I'd imagine they'd be interested in finding a singular cruiser. Yeah, I'm flying in a arbitrator. Is that? About to go and pew pew? Oh man, enjoy. That was Arnstar, I believe. Let's see if we again, let's try to go for that damn frigate gang. I'm suspect, so it should be a little bit more appealing for them to shoot at. Even though I've chased them places and it seems they just keep on not wanting to fight. Just had the Confessor jump in. I think I'm just gonna hold on gate here for a moment. He's not warping. He's just reapproaching. How about that? He just does not want any of it. Does not want a single bit of it. So what I'm trying to do with all these T3 destroyers is hide the newts as long as I can, and perhaps show myself as being really dumb. If I think it may work, if I think they don't know me, use say explosive drones, make them real comfortable, try to get them in, and then once I think they're comfortable, swap to the EM drones, swap the newts on, let's see if I can kill them. It's a long shot. I mean, T3 destroyers in general right now, the ones that have been released, tend to fit oversized props. They have very good capacitor. They tend to fit cap boosters, so even if I'm nuding them, it's very likely they can just burst, turn on their cap booster, eat a cap boost charge, and then flee. Okay, and now you're back to that medium. Alright, this is going to be the last time, Bloods. Last time I try to fight you. Change your name to Snake Breath. That doesn't work when you're on grid, though. Then they're like, the gig is up, run away. I'm just gonna go with Null at the start here as well. Immediately burning away. Neat. Alright, I'm just gonna leave then. I get it, you don't want to fight. I'm not sure if those are beams. They kind of look like beams. Okay. Just as a warp out rifter comes in. Yeah, Snake, it's something I've thought about quite a bit, is just picking up PvP alts and then flying around with them so that people don't associate with the name. And then you can get fights with people you know, sort of deal. And it would work at least once. At least once. until they figure it out. So it'd be a nice change of pace. Unfortunately, I don't have the ISK to throw around to do that because it's quite a chunk of ISK that is required to get a good PvP tune, like several tens of billions of ISK. So to get a tune like that would be a matter of liquidating about everything I own, which I am not going to be doing. I don't really necessarily mind running around with Sard, especially when I'm in a FAQ war around here. But there are definitely areas of space where I would benefit from having an unknown PvP character that I'd be using PvPing. Yeah. 12 to 16 bill is about like what I have in hard assets. Vice. Maybe a bit more, maybe like 5 bill more, but I don't have a lot of ISK to throw around, and that would be quite the liquidation. Buy Mad Annie from Squeebles. How much liquid do I have? Across this character and my other character, maybe 1.5 bill. If that. I think I just got some insurance money. Yeah, maybe a little bit more. Oh, there's that gang again. Just gonna move straight on through. Middle class? Maybe. I don't even know if for the amount of currency and the amount of assets I have, if I'd be considered middle class. I guess lower middle class or upper poor class. For a new player, the amount of money I have may seem like a lot, but for anyone that's been playing this game for a period of time, my assets are probably quite paltry. Although they are fairly condensed into one spot. And that can be pretty cool to look at. Oh, there's the gang. How about that? We're actually going the same direction. Upper middle. Oh, okay. He's not approaching me. He's just warping, it looks like. Yep. No. Vice, I never did the FAQ war thing. Nope. I recommended to corpmates to do it. I never did it myself. Andrew, go to the fucking gym, dude. Go to the gym. Go work out. Do something with your life. God, T3 destroyers, blah blah blah. Nothing I can do against those guys. Not that I'd be able to do much against a destroyer gang, like a T1 destroyer gang of that size. It's weird to see corp mates in local like this. It's been a while since I've been in a corp that's been active. And these kind of numbers around Fact 4. Slow tracking camera, if you... Oh, jeez, okay. We're gonna try to warp out immediately here. See ya. Do it, 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 do it. No. Oh, does he realize that I've dropped suspect? Does he notice this? I don't think he may not be noticing it. That'd be pretty funny too. No, he's just on gate, never mind. That's such poor timing. That could have been awesome if he spawned close to me. Instead, we got the worst possible spawn. And he's off. You watched Loco stream during a 10-mile run the other day? Were you just doing on a, were you at like a gym or something, Snake? I can just imagine you trying to jog while watching your phone. That sounds kind of funny. Treadmill, yeah. The quality on the Google Nexus is not too bad. You mean the screen size, Nick? The mobile app does have an audio only option, Anishua. It does on iOS anyway. Maybe not for the Android. Not an Android, no. It's unfortunate. Yeah, there's a mobile audio setting. There's a chat only setting. There's a audio only setting for the iOS for Twitch. Are you watching Twitch through a browser on the Android, or do you have a Twitch app for the Android? So if you're watching it through the browser, you're not going to see those types of settings. It may just be for if the Android has a Twitch app, then that may have those settings. That's true though. I've seen that. I wish for all these cool cat gifs that are coming up. So many of them are taken with someone that doesn't understand how to hold a phone and take video. Um, I need that wider aspect ratio to really fill out my my scanner area here. The vertical stuff is very annoying because then I have to put it behind local, and it's kind of a pain in the butt to manage. But yeah, I love the static electricity going on there. All the balloons sucking up onto the cat. It's awesome. Andrew, no. I'm probably just heading back to Dudix to call it. I need to get some food and stuff. Might stream a little bit later tonight, but I'm going to take a break for a couple hours at the very least. Yeah, Woobly, you did come in at a bad time. We're about to call it quits for the time being. So I'm thinking that this arbitrator, even though I didn't really get the fights that I wanted, I got plenty of sort of gangs that I ran into that are fairly typical for FAQ War. I'm gonna have to put this style of fitting on the give it a rest. I don't think in the current metagame this style of arbitrator is all that useful. So I think I'm just gonna leave this one alone. I've been trying to make it work. I've flown this style of arbitrator in the past, and I've really enjoyed it. But it just doesn't seem to be getting the fights that I want. And this may just be an artifact from T3 destroyers being so damn popular, and them not being terribly well balanced. Maybe that's the major issue there. But I feel that I'm not really able to get worthwhile engagements in this fit. But I would also say it's a very common sort of issue that comes with most T1 cruisers when you're doing solo PvP. You have to be very picky with the style of fights that you get with solo cruiser. So given that I'm roaming around, I just want to have more of an engagement profile that I'm actually able to fight things and move around quickly and get many fights. So I think I'm just not having the patience that I should have with this ship. So probably going to repackage this guy and put it kind of in my little ship's hangar can and maybe do something else into the future for T1 cruiser stuff. Snake, are you in Fragbox? I can put it into Fragbox. And I've died once tonight with this style fitting, so you can also see it on Z Killboard or Eve Kill or wherever you go for your killboard needs. Contract it to me. I'll contract the ship to you. I'm okay with this. Probably take the paste though. Paste is expensive. All right, yeah, Snake. I'll give you the ship. You can have the ship. Woobly, that's an amazing cat gif. I have to put that up before we go. Why is this not loading? There we go. Excellent. Okay. Oh, I know what I'm doing wrong. Yep, start with the player, you start with the item, and then you go from there. Did I miss anything? Not really. Snake, not really. You got damage selection with the drones, so use the appropriate damage type for the ship you're fighting. You can take on a couple of frigates or a single cruiser, maybe two. If it's a cruiser that is going to be kind of dangerous to you, you can kite it for a little bit and then go in for tackle once you felt like you've done appreciable damage to it. So it's an interesting ship. It's something that most people don't really expect, but again, I think the problem that I've been having tonight for quite a number of ships that I've been trying to get fights with, notably T3 destroyers, is that they expect newts and they expect TDs and they feel frightened by the ship, and that's very annoying to me. It's not the kind of reputation I'm looking for in a ship. I don't like that kind of scary. Like, it's like the worst thing possible for for a solo ship for you to have. Something where you have a scary reputation, but the ship itself isn't that powerful. It's like the worst possible combination of qualities for a ship. So, I think I just need to put that one away for a while and do other stuff with cruisers if I'm going to be running around with cruisers. Welcome into the Brotherhood. What Brotherhood is that? Yeah, Nox. Yeah, I'm in New Hurt. Yeah. It took your directorship a couple of days to figure out I put it happen. But yeah. So I'm likely going to be trying to run more gang stuff, either pub fleets or some fleets with U-Hurt guys into the future, and see if I can get that stuff going. Like FanFest definitely recharged my Eve batteries, so. We'll be trying to get some pickup gangs going, that sort of thing. We'll see how that goes. You have 99% CPU left with Genos. I don't need any implants for that fitting. I'm wondering why you need all that fitting. So you got blasters on there. Newts, shield booster, MWD, tackle. What would be screwing up your CPU? I don't even understand. Durkadin, I don't even understand. The German director cannot approve or see apps. I don't know. I don't think there's a shield fitting skill for active shield boosters. I might be wrong though. Let's see here. I might be wrong. I know there's one that reduces the cap use. That's this guy. Upgrades is for passive modules. No, there shouldn't be anything that's reducing your fitting for that. Unless you just don't have all your fitting skills maxed. Yeah. Alright guys, well that's going to be it for now. I may start up the stream a little bit later today, I'm not really sure. But regardless, make sure to hit that follow button, follow on Twitch, follow on Twitter. Twitter's probably the best way to follow the stream. I think the notifications there are the most effective. Twitch tends to miss sending emails to players. But other than that, so we will very likely be streaming again tomorrow. I may be streaming again tonight. We'll see how that one goes. But fly reckless, and I will see you guys in the future. Have a good one.